When We Disagree is a show about arguments, how we have them, why we have them, and their impact on our relationships and ourselves. Arguments can be many things: terrifying, maddening, boring, and beyond. But they can also be truly, utterly exhilarating. The feeling in your body when you land a well-timed, well-phrased shot, a did everyone just hear what I just said sort of moment, is intoxicating. The feeling in your body when you get what you want after a contentious exchange. Maybe with someone close to you finally agrees to something you've asked for. Maybe you just negotiated a raise after a lengthy back and forth. That's intoxicating too. It's a speedy, euphoric high. It's the kind of feeling you want to tell all of your friends about, your rhetorical glory, over and over. These thrills seem to be reserved for those times when you win, but I've even had some version of it in a draw. There's a palpable thrill in evenly matched arguments, when every move of yours is matched by an equal countermove, when you give as much as you get and hopefully emerge proud, humbled, surprised, and more respectful of the other person, all at the same time. I'm Michael Lee, Professor of Communication and Director of the Civility Initiative at the College of Charleston. Our guest today is Madelynn Bryan, a student from South Carolina. Madelynn, tell us an argument story.
Hey guys, so I have an argument that I had with my mom a few different times throughout my life, and it's just about having a relationship when you're a youngin'. And she thinks that it's just kind of silly to date anyone when you're just learning about yourself, learning about life, and just kind of how you fit into society. And so I chose this particular argument for a paper I'm writing in a class because it's it's kind of easy to write about because I do agree with both sides, so I can argue both sides. But also it's an argument that has irked me throughout my whole life, and I just find it really interesting the way that she puts her own sort of her own life into the argument, because she went through a lot of different just small relationships that were kind of silly and just not super serious, but she wishes that she had more time to herself and learning about herself. And to that I just say there's a lot of different ways that you can learn about yourself through relationships with other people, and I feel it's really important to learn from other people as well. So I don't know, that's the gist of the argument that I've got.
Okay, let's get both sides of the argument down on paper here.
Okay.
So the claim is that your mom is making, if I can put words in her mouth very specifically, don't date south of the age of?
Probably 22.
Don't date at all?
So I don't think it's don't date at all, but don't date for a year. She's so weird about it. Because she wants you to talk to people and have fun, but not be so serious about it.
Date casually.
I guess
only
so.
Date casually south of 22.
Yes.
Because?
So she married when she was 24 and had kids, the whole shebang, and then got a divorce. It was just a messy relationship the whole time. And I think her whole thing about it, though, is she's putting her own life into it, like I said. So she kind of grew up with just a controlling kind of family life. And then I think she didn't give herself the time by herself when she got to college, when she was able to move away. She grew up in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, came to University of South Carolina. Oh. So she just sort of didn't give herself time to grow up when she did leave, and let herself take control of her own life. She was describing it to me the other day. She was college is the first time that you're away from home. You can eat at whatever time you want. You can choose what you want to eat. It was just very you have this freedom that you've never had in your life before, and you shouldn't have to think about your day in regards to some other person. if that makes sense.
So you have a newfound freedom, she says. Don't
Yes.
throw that away by
Right.
getting tied down. And in a larger sense, don't make the same mistakes that I made.
Yes,
So
exactly.
she's trying to save you, in her own mind, trying to save you some pain that she felt.
Right. And I feel like I definitely grew up in a completely different household than she did.
Yeah.
So I feel like personally, the reason that this argument irks me so much is because I feel like I grew up with a lot of maturity and freedom already that I just kind of gave myself. Like, I wasn't necessarily a bad kid, but I was just I was really able to like to make a good statement for myself and stand up for myself when I was like, but I should have dessert tonight because I want it. Like, I don't know. Like, I was really good at that kind of thing.
Is there some part of you that feels rebellious about your mom's prohibition on serious relationships, which seems frankly a little bit ironic
Right.
looking at it?
I know.
It's like, I'm rebellious enough to have a super stable long-term relationship.
Exactly.
Because you don't want it.
Right. And see, like, that's the thing is right now I don't want that at all. So that's why I chose this argument, because I can argue both sides. Like, I don't really feel the need for that in any way. But I have had a relationship before that lasted like 2 years in high school. And I definitely don't regret it, but I do get where she's coming from, because I hadn't learned a lot about myself as a person at that time. And so it got really codependent in a way. But I feel like if I hadn't had that relationship, I wouldn't have known like my limits as far as my codependent ways and just different things regarding relationships.
What do you mean by codependent?
So it was very like we couldn't spend a day without each other, and it was like high school.
Yeah.
Like, girl, you're 17. Go hang out with your friends, you know. But yeah. So it was like just kind of unhealthy at a point, and I mean, as unhealthy as teenagers can be, like. But yeah. So it just kind of got to a place where I didn't want it to be, and so we just kind of mutually were like, let's be done with this now. And I also was moving away for college, so. And
so then your mom is in your ear at the same time saying, this is what can happen if you're not a fully formed, self-reflective individual. You could start to find yourself too much in a dynamic, in a relationship, and not as an individual.
Right.
And then some part of you is saying, yeah, sure, maybe that's possible, and that certainly happened to you. But also perhaps I can find myself as an individual by exploring how I relate to others in a serious long-term relationship.
Yes.
Is that a fair characterization of your claim?
Yes, exactly. And so that's kind of where my mind was at then in high school. And now whenever, like a few months ago, I was like, Mom, like I'm seeing this guy, like you'd love him, blah, blah, blah. She's like, ugh, you're so young. You need to wait. Like, you should end things with him. And I was like, no. and it lasted like another few months. And I was like, I want to end things with him. I don't want to do this anymore. She was like, yeah, I told you. But I feel like that's what irks me so much, is that like I come to her with this and she's just like, no. And so, and I think just like the whole thing of being open with it and kind of just like letting it happen and just letting me like make my own mistakes, you know. And but I understand, like she's a mother, she wants to protect the house and everything, but I don't care. So
I'm fascinated by some thresholds here. Like at what point in quote unquote seeing somebody does it become too much in her mind? Like 5 dates, 10 dates,
right?
4 months?
I think it's probably like a few weeks or like like over a month kind of.
And then and exclusivity, of course, would really accelerate that as an accelerating condition. And then secondly, I'm fascinated by this idea that at some point, thinking in my own head, you know, do I meet the conditions that your mom has set out for you as a fully actualized, self-aware, completely independent individual?
I know.
You know, at 45 years old. And I'm not sure I know the answer to that question. And so the idea that at 23, your fingers are going to snap, or at 25, when everybody's fully developed in their heads, that then you come out of that immune from these kinds of mistakes or codependent relationships or toxic dynamics, it strikes me as a little bit of a fantasy, maybe a useful fantasy.
Well, my sister is 26 years old. And she just ended like a 3-year relationship that she had. Yeah. And so like, I don't know. I definitely understand where she's coming from, to the point of like, learn about yourself and how you fit into the world. And just those sorts of things. Like don't take advantage of the freedom that you have right now, because I think in the ages of 18 to 22, you are kind of allowed to make a lot of mistakes that if you made those same mistakes at like 25, it would be like, oh, why? What are you doing? And so like, I get it to that certain extent, but at the same time, there's no way that I'm not gonna be there's no way that I'm gonna find like the love of my life when I'm like right when I turn 24. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that's really kind of a fascinating commentary on what freedom in relationships means, or what freedom as an individual means, right? Because she's saying, go be free, don't be tied down, don't be sucked into the same mistakes that I'm making. And on some level, you're saying, my freedom is defined by my ability to make the same choices that you made, even if they end up going just the same way they went for you.
Exactly. And I feel like that's where it gets kind of tricky too, because like, I have this freedom to go make mistakes and get messy and everything, but then I'm still kind of making those mistakes, and then I feel like I don't want to have this freedom, because that is where I feel like people get a little bit scared at that point in time, because they are able to go out and make their own decisions and kind of like see whoever they want to see, but then I don't know, they learn a little too much about themselves. They get a little too introspective.
Yeah, let's not learn too much about ourselves. Let's close and ask you to kind of sum this up in the form of giving the kind of advice that your mom gave to you to a hypothetical friend.
Right.
So your hypothetical friend asks you for Madelyn's advice on dating, and you have these 2 polls. One poll saying, date whoever wanted to date, maybe just short-term relationships, nothing exclusive, nothing serious. Right. And then on the other side, no, be open to these kinds of long-term monogamous pairings, or something in the middle. What advice would you give now? I
think what I would say is definitely take the time to learn about yourself, so that you kind of know what you want, and also more importantly what you don't want. And just take that time and then go out and like have fun with whatever, and just like kind of be open to different experiences, because there are like a million different types of relationships that you can have, and every person you're gonna meet is different. So just be open to the people that you see and talk to. Just have conversations and have fun.
This sounds a little bit like your mom.
Yep.
Madelynn, Brian, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you. This was so fun.
When We Disagree is recorded at the College of Charleston with creator and host Michael Lee. Recording and sound engineering by Jesse Kunz and Lance Laidlaw. Reach out to us at whenwedisagree@gmail.com.